So I'm in my car, obviously, and it's dark, but just for the moment, I'm gonna be on the go a little bit today for this video. But we're doing a follow-up video to, I think, one that you guys wanted to see. I did a video recently talking about iconic, legendary fragrances that I believe cannot be cloned. Well, for many of these fragrances, there are countless dupes, copies, inspirations, clones, whatever you want to call them. They're not all the same. Some of them are a little bit more overt and direct. Some of them are just kind of coincidental. But nonetheless, these fragrances have influenced the community, the market, the industry at large. And I believe that everything that comes after them, at least in my little opinion, on your little screen here, I don't think they can be topped. That's just me though. You probably disagree. Most of you guys will come back with some kind of rebuttal.
Look, this fragrance is way better, performs better.
And obviously that is a classic representation of the fact that we are all entitled to our opinions and experiences. But for my channel, these are fragrances that I believe are untouchable. They're all going to be linked down in the description, so how about we dive right into it. Sorry, I'm going to be looking at the road because I'm responsible. First fragrance that we're going to talk about that I believe is untouchable. This fragrance came out 2009. Very popular one, very well beloved, from Xerjoff. This is called Nio. And Nio is a beautiful green fragrance, kind of like fresh green leaves and grass, but with this beautiful kind of like soft white floral quality to it. There's almost something clean, not powdery, but definitely a little bit floral, but very green and fresh. And I love Nio because it is so definitive. The greenness really characterizes the nature of this scent. It just smells very green and very invigorating and very clean smelling. And it's just something you can wear almost anywhere, anytime, if you like the idea of a very clean green fragrance. And not like soap. It's not a soap fragrance. It's just more of like this natural air and nature or tree, grass, leaf, green fragrance, but without smelling overly herbaceous or herbal or anything like that. So I'm a fan of this one. There's been a lot of fragrances that have come since that try to do what this does. I haven't smelled them all, but I've smelled a few and nothing tops Nio. At the very least, this is something I could apply to any of these fragrances if you are interested in them, or maybe you've tried them and you consider them a little bit too expensive. Maybe start with Decant, start with the sample. You don't have to worry about getting a full bottle of this. And I know it's tempting to just like, let me find a cheap clone of it so that I can get Nio for like 40 bucks. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna fault you for that, but just know that it's not Nio. It's not the same, especially if you've tried it. So anyway, you do what you're gonna do, but I think that Nio cannot be touched. That's our first choice here. Next fragrance up is my scent of the day. I've loved this one for many years. I've been talking about it on this channel for probably like 5 years now. My old bottle of Gentle Fluidity Silver from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This stuff just resonates with me. I don't know why I love it so much, but it's very cooling and fresh. Lots of juniper berry, kind of like this sharp, almost ice cold type of freshness that's a little bit herbaceous with some musk that kind of envelops it, really makes it fill out, adds a warmth to it along with some amber and vanilla. I think there's some coriander in here, so it's almost like this kind of green herbaceous spice to the scent, but it comes together in such a cohesive way. It just smells like itself. It doesn't smell like a bunch of separate elements all in the same place. It smells truly like an accord. This one does have some dupes. There's some dupes of this one out there. It got pretty popular in the past few years. People have tried to capitalize on this scent profile by making dupes, by cloning it. And I've only tried maybe 1 or 2 of them. And I just say, get the original or get a decant of the original. The OG is special. If you don't feel the need to have that special quality to it, this inexplicable, intangible quality to the scent that affects you in a way that you can't explain, you can't quantify it. If you're okay with not having that, I think there's a lot of great clones that'll probably get you the same effect. But man, if you want the OG, if you want that OG feeling and sentiment, man, I would just go with the OG. So that is Gentle Fluidity Silver. I'd love to know what you think of this one if you've tried it. Next one, I've actually been a huge fan of this since I started this channel. And for years, I only had a sample of it. I finally got a bottle a few years back. I love this stuff. I know there's been some niche interpretations of it, but man, you cannot beat the OG Straight to Heaven from Kilian. Straight to Heaven is such an iconic and unique scent profile. Came out 2007. There's a reason why Kilian keeps making it. It's still on shelves as far as I know, because it's iconic. It's maybe one of their best sellers. I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely such a definitive scent profile, well perfumed by Sidonie Lanceur. Smells like nothing else that really came before it as far as I've experienced, and it's so timeless. It smells like it could have come out at any point in time. It doesn't seem like it's almost 20 years old. It is a patchouli based fragrance, but it's not dirty patchouli, thank God. It is earthy, damp. There's this dry woodiness, lots of cedar wood in here. That's kind of the bed of the fragrance. On top of that is this smooth vanilla, not creamy, but just smooth vanilla that kind of smooths out the dryness of the woods. And then on that you have some rum and you have some dried fruit. So there's almost this pruny, fruity, boozy feel on top of this smooth, vanillic, dry cedarwood, earthy base. And it's just so good. It's simple. It's kind of linear, doesn't change all that much on the skin because there's not a ton of moving parts, but as a result it just has a lot of clarity. It has a lot of personality to it, and it's a little bit polarizing. Some guys may not like this, or girls, whoever. Some of you may not enjoy this fragrance because it's pretty particular, but I happen to love it. And again, I think that all of the fragrances that try to do what this does or do something like it, I'm sure there's some good ones out there. I have tried Ursa from Tiziana Terenzi. I don't like it quite as much. This one still is the king for me. That's straight to heaven. I want to know what you think if you've tried it. I've made it to my destination, so now I can film legally. Our next fragrance up is from Nishane. This is Ani. This is one of my wife's favorite fragrances in our collection. You can see the dent that she has put into this bottle over the last couple years. I've worn it a handful of times, but this is pretty much her scent. And I know this is a highly popular fragrance just in general, but especially from this brand, maybe one of their best sellers. And it's definitely a popular one as far as cloning goes. I know there's quite a number of dupes of this. I don't know much about the dupes. I actually haven't tried many copies of this one, but I can rest assured that this fragrance outdoes every fragrance that tries to do what it does, because I don't think there's anything wrong with this. It's kind of a perfect scent. One of the biggest gripes that so many people have with original fragrances that end up getting cloned is that the originals don't perform very well and the dupes perform better. This thing, as most of Nishane's fragrances, performs very well, in addition to having a rich, complex and high quality scent. So this is one of those fragrances that, yes, has a lot of dupes. Maybe some of them are good, but they're actually kind of unnecessary, because yes, I know this is expensive, but it's one of those fragrances that you get what you pay for with this one. It is a vanilla forward fragrance, maybe more like a resinous benzoin, black currant. There's something kind of tart, sweet, juicy, fruity about it, but in more of a dark way inside of this rich, woody, creamy, almost like ambery vanilla. Cécile Zarokian is the master behind this one. It is so lovely. It's perfectly unisex. I need to wear it more, but I just associate it with my wife so much, so it's kind of her scent. But this is one of those fragrances that I don't think is topped, not even by its flanker. There's an X flanker. I have that one. I like this more. I think this outdoes all of them. That's Ani. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about Creed. A lot of people think that every one of their fragrances has been outperformed by dupes or clones. And if we're going to talk about performance, sure. Creed is not known for performance. I wouldn't buy Creed for performance. I would buy them for the scent quality and personality and just the aesthetic that they have that runs throughout their fragrances. You can tell it's a Creed. There's a certain magic to it that you can't really replicate. Some of you guys would beg to differ, but in my experience, that's what I've experienced. But this fragrance, I don't think you can outdo this one. The performance isn't fantastic, but it's not the worst. And I think it's one of the most unique fragrances they've ever put out, and a very unique woody fragrance on the market in general. This is called Royal Oud. They released this, I believe, the year after Aventus. I want to say 2011. Man. Dry cedarwood. Dry, kind of dusty green, slightly sweet, slightly aromatic wood. Just wood through and through. I don't get a lot of oud in here. I've said that for years. I know you hear a lot of people say that as well. So don't be fooled by the name. They should have just called it Royal Wood. And something in there that makes it sweet, but in this very kind of natural foresty way, almost like a sweet tree. That's weird. That's what I get out of Royal Oud. It wears as a very elegant, refined, gentlemanly, like sophisticated fragrance for pretty much all year besides the summer. I would say I'm not wearing this until it starts to cool down more, but I can't wait to do so. I get maybe 5-6 hours out of it. That's all I need. Yes, there's maybe some clones that get you more, but I think, again, for the occasions that you would wear a scent personality like this for, this is perfectly made. But I want to know what you think of Royal Oud. Have you tried any clones that you feel top this? But there's really no right and wrong here. Once again, I'm just sharing my opinion, and I think Royal Oud can't be touched. From Amouage, I always wonder if this fragrance is discontinued. I have people asking me if it's discontinued, but I'm pretty sure it's still available. And you can verify that by going on their website, not just discounters or resellers, but on their website. And if it's still there, then it's still being produced. And I'm pretty sure it's still there. This is Beach Hut Man specifically. I do believe Beach Hut Woman has been discontinued, but the man version is still being produced. And this is such a stunning fragrance. Also very green. I happen to like Beach Hut a little bit more than Nio as far as a scent personality, but as far as versatility, I think I would get more wear out of Nio, because Beach Hut is a beast. It is bombastic, it is rich, it is very powerful, it is extremely diffusive and very long lasting, at least in the bottle that I have here. And I love this. It has this old school green mossy soap feel to it, but it's very woody. It's very just like foresty, like tree-like shrubs, like you feel like you're not on the beach, but you're maybe in a forest or a jungle. Kind of minty, lots of vetiver, and extremely green, grassy, leafy green. But again, kind of this soapy feel, kind of this old school 1980s masculine vibe, hair on your chest type of fragrance. And I just think it's stunning for more sophisticated occasions during the daytime, pretty much year round. In the summer, you don't need more than 2 sprays, because once again, I think it's a beast. Another one of those fragrances that I believe doesn't really need a clone, because it's kind of perfect. There's nothing in it that needs to be fixed or tweaked or changed. I think it's perfect the way it is. I think it's worth the money. I ended up buying this years back, and I think it was worth every penny. But at the very least, again, get a decant, see for yourself the magic of the OG. I don't think it can be topped. That's Beach Hut Man. And our final fragrance is a little bit of a curveball. I think I've kind of bad-mouthed this fragrance in the past, but in recent years, I've had to acknowledge, you know what? For the time this came out, this is kind of a special fragrance. Now, some might argue that it was inspired by another fragrance that came out maybe a couple decades prior. We can't really confirm that. And when you put them side by side, the similarities are somewhat there, but there's a lot more nuance and a lot more just other things going on in this fragrance that really separates it from that alleged inspiration. This is from Parfums de Marly. This is probably their most popular fragrance ever. And this is Layton. Layton came out in 2016. And when you really think about it, while on the surface, it does have this very mass appealing quality to it, that doesn't necessarily smell niche or artistic or, you know, something you would expect from a high-end luxury artisanal brand. It's also kind of its own thing. Now, some people say it smells a little bit like Boss Bottled, the original Hugo Boss Bottled, which I owned years ago. And they do have the apple, vanilla, cinnamon in common. They have that vibe, this sweet, creamy, warm, spicy, almost dessert-like feeling to them. But what Layton has that really sets it apart, that kind of maybe makes people not like it so much, geranium. Geranium is such a difference maker here, and again, that can turn people off. It's a very fresh, kind of minty, somewhat rosy, lemony floral that some people say smells a little bit like Vicks Vapor Rub. I don't get that vibe at all. To me, Layton is a delicious smelling fragrance. It just smells masculine. It smells easy, but it's not exactly like a ton of mainstream designer stuff. It's kind of adjacent to it, but the way it comes together, it does have its own definitive personality. It's an unmistakable fragrance. You get a whiff of it and you know it's Layton. Lots of clones of this one, but man, I still think the OG is worth checking out. I don't know about performance for recent batches, so make sure you sample first if you haven't tried it yet, or you want to come back around to it after many years of being away. But Layton's almost 10 years old. I think it's going to be around for much longer, and I think it is kind of an uncopyable fragrance. Not special, but very, very good. Let me know what you think down in the comments.